Hi everyone, welcome back to Total War Therapy, and today we're gonna analyze every single unit from the Chaos Dwarfs roster, and we're gonna decide if this unit is worthy to recruit, situational or niche, or just for fun. So don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy my video, and let's begin. Let's start with the Goblin Laborers. As you know, they will be your meat shield for a very long time, because they require no cap, and you will be able to recruit them as much as you want until you get access to the other units. They have an impressive number of 180, they have no armor, they deal no damage, but they are perfect, because you can fill your army with many of them, even if they have a very little leadership. Their number is so huge that they will protect you from everything, and for me they are essential in the early campaign and in the late campaign when you need to protect your artillery. So for me definitely a worthy to recruit unit. The Orc Laborers counterpart get more melee attack, more charge bonus, and additional armor piercing damage, but in my personal opinion this is not effective. They sacrifice a little of their number of entities, and they get this this better melee stats that at the end they do the same. I mean, it's not that armored units should fear them, and they are more expensive than the Goblin Laborers, so in my opinion they are just for fun. You can recruit them, yes, but probably for the cost price the Goblin Laborers are better at the job. With the Hobgoblin Cutthroats, you start to have a solid front line to build with your army composition. They don't require cap, so you can recruit as many as you want. They are not anymore expendable, so be careful and not making them root. They are shielded, so they will be more protected by missile attack, and the stats overall are not that bad. Of course, they need to be used in a defensive mode. They don't attack, they don't deal damage, but they protect the other damage dealer in your army. For me, they are a worthy choice to recruit, and until you unlock the Chaos Dwarfs, even the only one. The Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits are a good option to add a little of spice to your army composition in the early campaign. They are Hobgoblin, a huge number, they have the stalk, so they walk hidden all over the map. They have the fire whilst moving with this missile attack that I would not rely a lot of them on that, but it can be annoying. And then they are anti-infantry and with poison effect. So in the early campaign you can sneak around the enemy and attack them at the back. I will not attack other infantry at the front, but yeah, if used correctly, I think they can bring you some satisfaction, but for me they are just situational or niche. If you want to have fun, and in particular situation they can be funny and necessary, but overall not that much. The Chaos Dwarf Warrior are the first tough frontline you will get access to, the cheapest, but they have still a lot of armor. They are shielded, they have the charge defense versus large, even if they are not spearmen. That melee defense, it's incredible if you think that this is a very low tier unit. They have a little weapon strength, but they are not damage dealer. They need to be used to defend the other damage dealer in your army. They have a lot of leadership, so it's very hard for them to rout or run away, and they have a little of fire resistance that is definitely not necessary. When you start to get access to them, I would replace all the Hobgoblin Cutthroats with them. So for me they are a worthy choice. The Chaos Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. They sacrifice the shield and they get this double hand weapon that deals armor piercing damage. Especially in the early game this can be essential, because you will not get access yet to monsters, to artillery, so you need to have this increased damage. They are not defensive, of course, in this case they are damage dealers, so they need to be protected by their shielded units, even if I mean they have plenty of armor, so you should not worry that much. In any case, for me, they are necessary, so they are worthy to recruit. Of course, we're talking about the early campaign. Later, probably not anymore. The Infernal Guard is the same of the Chaos Dwarf warriors with shield, but they get better stats. They have plenty of armor, still shielded, still with the charge defense versus large, so you have to use them exactly in the same way. But they are more expensive, and in the late campaign you will probably need them to replace the other Chaos Dwarfs. That's why for me they are a worthy choice and definitely worthy to recruit. The Infernal Guard with the great weapons, it's the same as the Chaos Dwarfs with the great weapons, and as I said before, probably at this point of the game they are not necessary anymore, because even if they have plenty of armor piercing damage, and believe me, if I say plenty, it's plenty. I mean, in this part of the campaign you will get access to monsters, artillery, and they may be less necessary. That's why I will put them in the situational niche category. Still worth to recruit, but yeah, there are other ways to do the same job better. The Infernal Iron Sword. They are the most elite melee infantry of the Chaos Dwarfs and one of the best melee infantry in the game. We already talked about that in many different videos. They basically the Infernal Guard with shield but enhanced. They have more armor, a defense of 64 by default. That I mean, it's terrible, I mean, in a good way. And then they have the expert charge against everything, not only against the large unit, so against Wrathmongers, for example. They have fire damage, magical damage, so even good against demons. And they have this couple of missile ammunition that are bombs that can completely destroy the front line formation of your opponent. When you fight against them, you will see that, I mean, it's almost impossible to destroy them. The only thing you can do is to make everyone rout, so at the end the leadership will fall and you will win the game. Otherwise, no. For me, they are situational and niche, because even if they are so strong, they are so damnly expensive. They are the same price of more than 12 Goblin Laborers for saying, and yes, they're probably not worth even, because the Infernal Guard still do a great job and they don't need any upgrade. Let's start with the Missile Infantry, and the first one is the Hobgoblin Archers. They have no cap, so you can recruit as many as you want. They are cheap, they are in huge number, and they are the only Missile Infantry with the arc trajectory of fire, so you can deploy them behind your front line and keep them protected, while, I mean, they can still shoot for the rest of the fight, unlike the other Missile Infantry we're gonna talk about soon. They have fire damage that I'm not sure is effective, but is very good looking. You can see it, and the range is good. It's okay. Of course, they are not very good at melee, but yeah, definitely they do their job. I would not recruit them if you have to play against a very armor faction, because they have no armor piercing damage. But otherwise, I feel they're very necessary. So for me, a worthy to recruit choice. The Chaos Dwarf Blunderbusses. They are Chaos Dwarfs, so expect them to be more sturdy. They are armored, they have a good defense, even if they are missile infantry, so you can rely on them in melee. They don't need any extra protection. But let's talk about their missile attack. Plenty of ammunition, a lot of armor piercing damage, and a very short range that is not a problem. Just put a character in front of them to to negate any kind of cavalry charge, character of infantry, and they will bring havoc to the battlefield. They're probably, yeah, their missile attack is one of the strongest in the game, and of course one of the most lovely. Very cinematographics, very cinematic, and yes, they are always a worthy choice. Don't overcruit them, just a couple of them is more than enough. And now let's talk about the Infernal Guard with fire glaives. They are nice, they are one of the most elite missile infantry in the game. They are Chaos Dwarf, and in this case they are pretty good at melee. They have the armor piercing and anti-large damage, so they are perfect if you want to cover your flanks. Also, they can shoot at the cavalry and then defend from the charge. They have the fire damage, a lot of armor, and their missile attack has a very huge range. I mean, huge for units of this category. A lot of ammunition, fire damage, armor piercing damage. Still, they are very accurate, and yes, you can probably use them in a more versatile way than the blunderbusses, and for me they are situational and niche. Now it's the time of cavalry, and let's start with the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders. They're good at their job, they are hobgoblins, so they are not that good at melee, but they have a little of armor and a shield, so they can feel a little protected when they attack missile infantry, artillery, or some enemy at the back. Their stats are very bad overall, but I mean, they're cheap, and they're cheaper than a normal Chaos Dwarf unit, so it's good. You don't need the cap to recruit them, so you can recruit as many as you want. They have vanguard deployment, and yes, overall they do their job. If you wanna play aggressively, or I mean, to sneak around and debilitate the missile artillery units of the enemy, they are a very good choice, so I will put in the situational niche category. Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders with the bows. You know what I think about this unit. They are definitely funny. They can distract part of the enemy army, while the main army of yours can focus on the most important enemy units. But yeah, they require a lot of micromanagement, and even if they are very cheap, I think that is not worthy the effort. So for me, they are in the for fun category. Now let's talk about the elite cavalry of the Chaos Dwarfs. Yes, I'm talking about the Bull Centaur Renders, and let's start with the first version, the Bull Centaur Renders with the shield. They are the shield, so they are more protected from missile, and especially against a faction like Elves Empire. They can be the best choice. They have a lot of charge bonus, a lot of weapon strength. There are few entities, so be careful of characters or cannons or snipers and so on, because they can be quite damaging against them. You can use them to charge the enemy around from the back, from the sides, or even attack at the front, since they are very, very tough. This version in particular, for me, it's in the situational niche, because you may need them just if you fight against faction with missile attack and so on. Otherwise, the other two categories are probably better. The Bull Centaur Renders with the dual axis. They sacrifice a little on melee defense to get more melee attack, charge bonus, and the anti-infantry damage. For me, they are probably better than the previous version, because they are very destructive against any kind of infantry. You can attack from the flank, from the back, and you will see that the destruction is the double, and they're more specialized against them. So for me, they are a worthy option to recruit. You should have one or two of them in your late game army composition. So yeah, great. The Bull Centaur Renders with the great weapons, for me, are the best version ever, because they are anti-large and armor piercing. That in this roster there is a lack of anti-large units, and especially in the late campaign, when you have to deal with big monsters with dragons and mounted characters, they are the only and the best choice. So you should recruit a couple of them in any of your late campaign army, and yes, they are the destruction of Bull Centaur Renders with a little specialty of being great against large entities. It's not over, so there are still a couple of bulls to talk about. Let's start with the Great Taurus. This is a flying huge beast. You will wait a little to recruit them in your campaign. We can say they have not plenty of armor, but the damage is insane. It's armor piercing. It's half a tank, half not. I should probably focus more on cavalry, characters, and other monsters. They have good melee attack. The melee defense is not that great. A lot of charge bonuses. The charge bonus is very, very huge, and an ability that increases the melee damage reflection and the physical resistance when they spend a lot of time in melee, and they cause fear and terror, of course. For me, they are worthy to recruit. Probably no, we will talk later about why, or probably yes, depends on your taste or how you want to play, but yeah, in my case, and I will explain you later why, no. The Bale Taurus, this is a worthy to recruit unit for me. They are strong, they are stronger than the Great Taurus. You will need a little more of time to recruit them, but it's okay, because with all the missile power of the Chaos Dwarf, you will not have problem with flying entities. So you can wait a little more and then take this amazing huge flying monster with more fire, more weapon strength, more ammo piercing, a little more of armor, but yeah, at the end you have to use it in the exact same way. And then it has a flaming breath that can annihilate infantry unit mostly. For me, this is great, and you may need a little of air power in your from mid to late campaign, so definitely worthy to recruit. The Lamassu is a very specific unit. He's still a flying beast, but more magical and less melee. He doesn't have the armor piercing damage, and keep in mind that, but they have magical damage and a couple of spells. But what is truly great about this unit and why you should recruit or maybe just take the mount of a lord with it is that they have this ability that silence the abilities of the other characters of the enemy. And this is great because if you see a spellcaster in the enemy army, you can just send it against him, and yeah, he will not be able to cast spells anymore. And this is a huge advantage that if you play strategically, you can see. So for me, they are a worthy to recruit unit, definitely necessary both as a mount or as a single unit. Now let's talk about demon, and let's start with the Kedai Fireborn. They are demons, so expect them to start to cause damage to themselves when their leadership get low. They have a little of fire resistance, a lot of physical resistance, a lot of fire resistance. They have a good armor, we can say. The speed is great in the Chaos Dwarf roster. A lot of melee attack, a lot of melee defense, a good charge bonus, a lot of weapon strength, but they are very few entities. You should use them as a support to your infantry. I would not just let them stand alone because they are weak in that case, but as a support they do a lot of damage. They are specialized against anti-infantry, so yeah, definitely great, but for me they are still situational and niche, because you have to be very careful, otherwise they will vanish. The Kedai Destroyer. I cried when I saw at the end of the Chaos Dwarf trailer this huge beast roaring in its own metallic way. I love it, but in the battlefield I love it a little less. It has a lot of armor, good speed, good leadership, melee attack, melee defense great with armor piercing, flaming attack, magical attack, good charge bonus, but at the end it doesn't perform that well. I saw that he can get in trouble even with the mid-tier infantry sometimes, so I don't know what's bad about its performance. That's why I don't recruit them a lot. I think that in the late campaign it may be necessary just because you deal with other monster or large group of infantry, but yeah, compared to other colossal beasts like that, you have to be more careful. That's why for me they are in the situational niche. Good for fun and for effectiveness, but yeah, don't that necessary, honestly. Let's address one of the most important category of the Chaos Dwarfs. I'm talking about the artillery. And the first one is the Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower. That is a little reskin of the bolt thrower of the green skins, but it's okay. You don't need the cap, so you can recruit as many as you want, and this is the only good advantage of this unit. They may be good against light cavalry or some monsters, but yeah, I should probably not rely a lot on them. Maybe just in the early campaign when you don't get access to artillery, they can be a worthy choice because yeah, you don't have other option, in short. So yes, for me they are a situational niche unit, but yeah, otherwise they are just not worthy to recruit. The Magma Cannon. In my opinion, for the cost-effectiveness relationship, is probably the best artillery in this roster. He basically throws this huge fireball at the enemy that when it doesn't miss the target in high difficulty, it can be quite destructive. It has a little of armor, but is still a single war machine, so an easy target for many missile attack of the enemy. The range is great, but could have been a little more. It causes fire damage and a thing that reduces the leadership of the enemy that hit. So overall, both in the early and late campaign, a worthy option to recruit. The Death Shrieker rocket launcher. This is an artillery piece that I'm struggling with. I really don't understand why people overall say that it's that powerful. It has a good range ammunition with flaming attack and magical attack. It specializes against anti-infantry, but actually it has two modes. One mode is best for infantry and the other is best for single entities, characters and monster. It has this thing that it basically throws the rocket to the sky and then it lands on the enemy, so quite accurate and precise, but for me it doesn't deal that much damage. But yeah, people say that is one of the best artillery in the game, so probably have to check again. For me, just niche and situational. The Iron Demon, one of the coolest units in the game, is very good both at melee and at missile. It has a lot of armor compared to the other Chaos Dwarfs war machine. Of course, the melee attack and melee defense are not that great, but with the charge bonus and an ability that increase that, it can be quite destructive. The speed is not, even that is not that much. What you're supposed to do is to charge over the enemy, go through them but not get stuck, otherwise it can be quite problematic. The missile attack is not that strong in my opinion. The range is very little, is less than most of the missile infantry in the game. It has the suppressed fire, so reduce the speed, and it's ammo piercing, but not that effective in my opinion. I recruited, but I know that it can get better in some way, and with this missile attack with the little range, I don't know, it's just not that effective. So for me, niche and situational. Now let's talk about the Skullcracker. The Skullcracker is basically an Iron Demon, but you sacrifice the missile attack to get better melee stats. In my opinion, it's preferable to the Iron Demon because at least you can just focus on its melee capability. You can charge around the enemy, go through their formation, and then go back and charge again. The aesthetics is amazing, and yeah, you can crack enemies overall, but yeah, be careful because if it gets stuck, it will be in trouble. And the last things, but very important, the ability has a slow cooldown, so use it wisely. But in any case, it's a worthy to recruit unit for me. The Dreadquake Mortar. This is a unit that I truly believe that should be debuffed because in the current state is too strong, even in the high difficulty where the enemy try to dodge your artillery shot. This is so precise, and even if it's not precise, it causes a earthquake that destroy the ground, make your enemy trembles and lose health. It has a lot of range. A lot. At least they could have sacrificed the range, but not even. It is ammo piercing with the monstrous impact that reduces the speed of the enemy. When you fight against a Chaos Dwarfs army and there is one of them, you really don't know what to do, even if it's that expensive, and it can be an easy target for main units. It can destroy every unit with and more with one single shot. So definitely worthy to recruit, is one of the best, probably the best artillery in this game, and they really should debuff it. The most attentive probably noticed that I forgot to mention the Hell Cannon. I did it on purpose. I think that this unit doesn't fit the Chaos Dwarf roster. Even the Chaos Dwarfs warriors that are together with the machine, they have not the same aesthetics of the new Chaos Dwarfs, but the old one from the Warriors of Chaos roster. That's why I really think that this is just a modded unit, and I completely bypass it in in this game. When I play with Chaos Dwarfs, I never use it, but I mean, I have to admit it that it's a very strong artillery piece, one of the strongest in the game definitely, but yeah, it's not a Chaos Dwarf. It's like if you are recruiting you know, from the allies pool. That's why I didn't feel it to put it into this video, even if I put it in this way at the end. Now let's talk about the trains. I didn't forget them, but even in this case I never recruit them. They are funny. They're definitely some of the funniest units in this game, because you have two artillery in one, but and especially with the Iron Demon, I mean, it will be a rain of fire, but they are very expensive, too much expensive, and the order value will be wasted, okay, in one way or the other. And then they have a huge problem, that it's huge. When they attack in melee with the Iron Demon, for example, the Dreadquake mortar will still shoot with the mortar. So if you have friendly units in the nearby, they will be annihilated by your own artillery. And in this case, you have to, you know, take off the fire automatic mode. I mean, for me, they are just for fun, but definitely never worth it to recruit. Now let's address the heroes from the Chaos Dwarfs, and the first one is the Infernal Castellan. The Infernal Castellan is both a missile specialist, a sniper, and a melee supporter, we can say, but in my opinion is good at nothing. In the campaign it doesn't boost any category of units, even if you may associate him to an engineer from other faction. It can be good and tough, but yeah, it's more a tank that will deal not that much damage, probably a little good against characters, and the missile attack can be great. But I mean, the range is not that long. Then he needs time to reload, to take the aim, and yeah, overall you will see it will be the unit in all your army that will deal less damage to the enemy. So for me, just for fun. The Bull Centaur Taruk is basically a Bull Centaur rendered hero, so this huge monstrous cavalry beast that is specialized against large units. So you should send him against characters, against lords, against monsters, and he will do a very good job. You can of course increase all its abilities in the campaign, making even more powerful. And I think that every army composition from the mid to late campaign should have at least one, because if you find a very tough character or monster, this will be your only way to manage the situation. The Demosmith Sorcerer. Now, if your lord is not a spellcaster, you definitely need this as your hero, because otherwise all those winds of magic will be wasted. It's quite strong as a spellcaster. You get access to 3 different lords of magic, immune to psychology with some resistance. The nice things about them is that they can get access in the campaign to the Beltarus, I mean to Flying Beast, and at the end to the Beltarus, that it's a quite damaging flying monster, so you can just fly around, hit targets with your prowess, bestial prowess, and at the same time you can cast your spells. So very effective and definitely necessary to recruit. The Overseer is the most basic, I mean, out of 2 generic lord that you can recruit, is the melee specialist. So especially at when your army is born, if you need a tank, this should be probably your choice. And overall in the campaign you can focus on its melee stats and not on the spells. That's why for me is the best option as a generic lord, because you can use, as I said before, the Demosmith as a hero and focus with this lord on all the campaign, army, bonuses and so on. It's very tanky. You get access to the Lamassu and to the Great Taurus, but not to the Beltarus. But as I said, the Lamassu can be, it's a necessary choice in your army composition. So the Sorcerer Prophet is, as I said, the wizard option, but in my opinion it's better to focus with the hero, because otherwise you will have too many skills points that have to go, you know, to your spells or to the bonuses of your army. So definitely better as a hero, and I would recruit the Sorcerer Prophet just for fun. Now let's talk about this amazing Regiment of Renown from the Chaos Dwarfs roster, the Blazing Beards of Bazerak. They are Chaos Dwarfs with flaming beards in short. They are strong as the Chaos Dwarfs, but with better melee stats because they have the Frenzy attribute, and then they have this couple of grenade that with them they can destroy the enemy front line when it's approaching. For me, definitely worthy to recruit. The Immortals are an elite unit of Infernal, Iron Sword, but in this case with the anti-infantry dual weapons. They can be particularly strong in a roster where the melee infantry is not supposed to deal big damage to infantry, so they are cool. They have a flaming attack, magical attack. They can be a little expensive, but yeah, definitely funny. And then they're basically Slayer, Chaos Slayer. The Granite Guard. This is a unit of Infernal Guard with the blunderbusses, so not Chaos Dwarf, because they are more armor, better, and melee. They have an armor piercing big axe that, I mean, for me it's quite destructive. And then they have the suppressed fire that reduces the speed of the enemies, that even with their short range can be effective. They are one of my favorite units here, and definitely worthy to recruit. The Ogla-Khand Wolf Boys. The idea was to make a Hobgoblin Cavalry elite, good both at melee and missile, that is actually good at nothing. They are just a more expensive unit of Hobgoblin Cavalry, completely avoidable, so for me, just for fun. The Hashut Dark Ravagers. They are bull centaur renders with dual axes that can throw this same axes. The axes, in my personal opinion, they are not that strong, and even if they are shield breakers, so they don't care about the shields of the enemy, but they are very few entities, so the missile damage overall will be quite poor. Still great at melee with some enhanced stats, so yeah, they can be good, but for me more situational or niche. The Demon Stone. This is an Iron Demon, but instead of the gunpowder attack, it has this flaming attack with a very short range, but an impressive missile strength of almost 3000 damage that can reduce the leadership, and yeah, then it's good at melee and everything. I mean, like an Iron Demon, but with this, I mean, throwing flames instead of bullets. For me, this is great, a very worthy to recruit option. And thank you for following me. See you very soon.